Well, on you go. Very good. Welcome, everyone. We're here at Canterbury Leagues for our first ever Six Tackles with Gus live podcast. It's so lovely to see you all here. I'm surprised that we have this many listeners, to be honest, Gus, but it's great that we've crammed you all into one room. Welcome, everyone, and can I please have a typical Canterbury reception for the top dog, Phil Gould. Welcome, Gus.
You know, Matthew, years ago when they asked me to do a podcast, my first question is, what's a podcast? I had no idea what a podcast was, but we've been around.
You still
for a while
don't?
now. Yeah, I still don't. No. We're doing it live today, so they won't be able to edit out the bits where I get fined and censored and all that sort of thing. So we're all going to have to be very careful about what we say, aren't we?
See, what you don't know is after every episode, our legal team all come down into our Six Tackles with Gus office and listen back to the entire episode, and they slash bits out.
If ever the real version got out, we'd all be in trouble. So anyway, have a good time. Enjoy
it's great to see everyone. Thanks for coming. We really do appreciate it, and we appreciate the support of our great sponsors at Tab. Do you like these caps? What happened to your Tab cap? You look good in it.
Oh, it looks better over there at the moment.
Yeah. So they're the trucker-style green cap, and I know everyone's got... Oh, we got some bucket hats too. That's good. I might wear this on the golf course, although I may not, the way I'm playing at the moment. It's great to see everyone here. We're in the terrace room at Canterbury Leagues, and it's only hours, of course, before the Bulldogs host the Panther Cubs at a core stadium in a few hours' time. I saw a very brave Six Tackles with Gus listener with a Penrith jersey on here.
He's got the Oak Panther on over there. Yeah, good on you, mate.
Very good.
Have you playing tonight, or have you pulled out too? What do you...
The shots have been fired. So we've got an action-packed show today. Our audience are going to be the real stars of the show because we have stockpiled a cache of Ask Gus questions. There are some very trying ones for you.
Okay.
I don't know if you've vetted them or not, but I'm sure our listeners...
A few of these people don't look very trustworthy, I've got to say.
They're trying to slip you up.
Yeah.
We'll have a couple of Bulldog legends. Mark O'Mealy is already here. The ogre, what a champion. Great to see him. He's had a stack of photos with all of our fans here as well. And the grub himself, Josh Reynolds, Bulldogs champion. He'll be here too. In fact, he's going to help us out by being our MC on the floor with our Ask Us questions. Is Claude Trump going to make any sort of an appearance today?
I might ask for Claude Trump later. I might even get him to promote today. Could he promote today?
I wonder what he'd say if he was asked to promote our live podcast.
I'll see if I can get him to do it.
Does it take him a while to think about it?
No, it doesn't take long at all. Claude, the AI app. Claude, could you please give me a 1-minute promotion for Six Tackles with Gus, which is today to be filmed at Canterbury Leagues Club live, and give it a pump up, and could you do it in the style of US President Donald Trump? Thinking, what's Six Tackles with Gus?
The only thing he doesn't know.
Claude, you're an idiot. Six Tackles with Gus. It's a podcast. Okay. It's research. Okay. Classic Trump speaking style, confident, superlative and heavy. Folks, let me tell you, and I know great shows, believe me, we're going to have this afternoon at Canterbury Leagues. It's going to be absolutely tremendous. Six Tackles with Gus, which is a fantastic podcast, by the way, a really fantastic podcast, is bringing their show live to what's going to be a packed audience. And I mean packed, the energy, it's going to be incredible, simply incredible. Phil Gus Gould, and Gus is a winner, folks, a real winner. He and Matthew Thompson, they're going to deliver the kind of analysis you don't see anywhere else, the best analysis from injury crisis to origin selections, from diving for penalties, which is a disgrace, frankly, to premiership predictions. They're going to cover it all, and they're going to cover it beautifully, just beautifully. I know podcasts better than anybody else. This isn't just any podcast, okay? Six Tackles with Gus, one of Australia's most popular podcasts. He lies, the president, doesn't he? Maybe the most popular, I don't know. People say that. It's huge. The ratings are through the roof. When Gus talks, everybody listens. Everybody. The Ask Gus segments, pure gold. Canterbury Leagues Club, what a venue, right in the heart of league territory. Perfect location, perfect crowd. It's going to be a perfect show. And tonight, the Bulldogs versus Panthers. It's going to be massive. You can find Six Tackles with Gus on all platforms, YouTube, podcasts, everywhere. And when I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. But this afternoon, this is going to be something special, folks, really special. Canterbury Leagues Club making rugby league great again.
Oh, well done, Mr. Trump. Thank you, Mr. President. It's most disconcerting to turn up at an event and there's a stubby holder out the front with your face on it. Did you? That sort of rocked me a little bit. I didn't expect that to ever happen. Have you got yours?
Yes, I've got mine here.
Excellent, very good. Right underneath your tab cap. And later on, for all our great friends here, we're giving away a couple of tickets to the grand final. Might feature the Bulldogs. Let's start with our favourite segment, shall we, Harry? Hit the button.
No. Hey. No.
That's the rule.
No. Dear.
My first question is to the audience. Will the Bulldogs win the premiership? That's our Panther man who said no. Very good. What did you make of the Bulldogs' performance down in Melbourne last week? Top dog.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Great experience. Sold-out crowd against the premiership favourites on their home ground. And, we did a little bit tough after half-time, but after half-time I thought we really got into our rhythm and probably unlucky not to score a couple of more times, probably unlucky not to win the game, but that's what big games are about, taking your moments when they're on offer. And, of course, we had a chance right on the bell for Stephen Crichton over the line there. They had to go to the bunker to rule a no try, but it was a great experience and I think wonderful for some of our players to get down there and perform that well. But the challenge is this time of year to turn around and do it again. That's why it's so hard. It gets tough at this time of year because it's tough. It's to come off that one and then come back and perform again this week, next week, and then you've got a month of finals in September, hopefully. So I was really pleased with the performance and I think they got a lot out of it.
Well, the likelihood is if you win tonight, you're back down there again for week one.
Possibly. There's a lot to play out, Matthew, before that happens. But
it's only early, as you'd say.
We've got to get through tonight yet with the young Panthers.
It's only round 26, still very early. Round 25 was the most exciting round of NRL we've had in recent memory.
Yeah, we give that a yes, but it had some of the most magical moments I've seen in a long time. I mean, for a weekend to have so, and it started with the Panther and Canberra, golden point period there the other night. The try that won Canberra the game was absolutely extraordinary. There were some other great moments during the course of the weekend. Just individual points. Mark Ngawanganitawazi, some of the stuff that he does just astounds me. Absolutely brilliant. The Tigers got beaten at Leichhardt on Sunday, but provided a couple of really classic tries that were just spectacular. I think the individuals, the players and coaches are doing such a wonderful job. The entertainment's great. And at this time of year to be still going as strong as they are speaks volumes for how fit and how professional and how committed they are. Even games that have no bearing on the top 8 at the moment, and I've said this a number of times in the last few weeks, the teams that are down towards the end of the ladder, down the bottom of the ladder at the moment, are the best bottom ladder teams I've seen in a long time. And the football that they're playing is absolutely terrific. So, and it all goes well for the future of those sides. I thought Parramatta were terrific against the Roosters. I mean, they never really looked like getting beaten in a game where the Roosters were expected to carry on their run to the finals, and that was a big win. And the Tigers looked home at Leichhardt, and the Cowboys come roaring back in the space of 5 minutes and scored 3 tries. It was some wonderful football played, and it's only going to go on again this weekend. There's a lot at stake. Positions in the 8 and within the 8 are there, but it doesn't matter what teams are playing. NRL games are important. They're important to individuals, as we've seen this week. They're important to coaches. Every result counts, so everyone's out to win a game, and we do it all again starting tonight.
I'm glad you mentioned Para. You're a fan of forwards passing the ball to one another.
Yeah.
The ball movement between their men in the middle, I absolutely love watching that on Saturday night. That is so different to the way any other team in the comp plays. Like they're sensational to watch.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of wingers passing the ball together.
No,
I don't like wingers passing to wingers. But I've always liked that. That was the style of football we played back in the old days. But when I was coaching, it was what I always encouraged. And we tend to, the way the modern game is played these days, or it's coached these days, is that players virtually play in a lane. They're in their own lane, left and right side of the field, and on the edge or in the middle or out on the sidelines, and they don't deviate from those lanes too much. But we do have a few sides in the competition where players do roam around a little bit and forwards do pass the ball to each other, and I think that interchange of passing is extremely effective, not just in taking the ball to go forward, but moving the opposition team around, and that's got to be part of your strategy at times. I think if you can run the opposition team around and turn them around with your kicking game, it goes a long way towards winning any sort of game, doesn't matter what it is. But Parramatta are playing a really good brand of football. I noticed it probably halfway through the season. I mean, they struggled in the first part of the season, But even before Mitchell Moses came back, their football was improving. You could see it. They weren't getting it right. They were playing and making mistakes, but Jason Reynolds has got them to persevere with it and stick at it until they did get it right. Defensively, you could see that they were developing a system, and the system is working nicely for them. And it's based on effort, but it's also based on a lot of teamwork in what they're doing in their defence, and they've got some real good defensive principles they're following. And the same with their attack. As the defence started to improve, they got more and more confident. Their attack started to build. And then when Mitchell Moses came back, he was icing on the cake because his kicking game is so effective and his individual brilliance. They scored some terrific tries on the weekend against the
did they what?
And, really deserved to win and win comfortably, and they did. What it ended up 30 to something on the 30 to 10 or 30 to 12 on the scoreboard. So it was a big win, and that all goes well for the future. They were disrupted during the year with the Dylan Brown contract and knowing that their playmaker was heading off to Newcastle. He played in the centres the other night, but the kids have got playing there at the moment doing a wonderful job. I love the little hooker. They've got there now, Riley Smith. Riley Smith, terrific kid. He was a Penrith kid.
Yep.
Very, very good cricketer. And I know when he was very, very young, he was very young when I left Penrith, but wasn't sure whether he'd take up cricket or take up rugby league. It was sort of during the COVID period as well, just after that. So we're blessed that he chose rugby league. He's ended up at Parramatta. He's a terrific little player. They're doing well. They're bought well. Their players are performing well, and it's good signs for Parramatta into the future.
Is someone doing work on your office upstairs here or something?
I don't have an office.
Haven't you got the corner office with the view over the whole district?
No. If you have an office, they expect you to sit in it, so I don't.
You're an itinerant worker.
Yeah.
Spend the money at Leichhardt Oval and play there regularly. 100%.
I didn't move. Why are you saying yes? Well, yeah, but if you're going to spend the money at Leichhardt, you're going to change it, aren't you? Aren't you going to change?
Well, they've got it. Look, you could knock down that Western Grandstand and build a new one and leave the rest of the field as is. You're not going to touch the hill.
No, you wouldn't touch that.
Of course you're not going to touch that. You can
that's
keep the integrity
charm.
of the ground, but
That's
that grandstand's
charm.
falling down.
Yeah,
that we
that's
sit
the charm.
in.
Yeah, it was built back in the 70s. That was, I don't know how many of you were alive in the 70s, but that was where the Amco Cup used to be played, the midweek competition on television. It was the only ground in Sydney with lights that were good enough for television back in those days, and we used to play all the midweek cup games there at Leichhardt Oval. When I first went to Leichhardt Oval, it ran east-west.
Yes.
In front of that little Keith Barnes grandstand. That little Keith Barnes grandstand was the grandstand at the ground, and the dressing rooms were underneath it. You had to go out into the corridor to dry yourself. There wasn't enough room. They were so small. And the ground used to run east-west, and then they went through a renovation, pushed the land up onto the hills, sunk the ground a little bit. That's how they created the hills around there. And then the field runs north-south in the traditional way now, and it's always been a great place to play, very difficult place to win if you're the away team. And again, a great afternoon's entertainment. It just looks visually great on TV. Sunday afternoon, suburban ground, packed ground, the big hill. It's part of the charm and the nostalgia and the history of our game. And, I always hope we've got grounds like that so that our kids can grow up and experience what we experienced when we fell in love with the game. And I think players love it too. Players, everyone knows that you want to play in front of the big stadiums in the big games, but those lovely Sunday afternoons, suburban ground and a big crowd, and you can smell the hot dogs and the pies, and you can feel the crowd right up and close. I think it's really important. It's a great atmosphere.
Josh Hannay is the solution to the Titans' woes.
Well, we hope so, don't we? We hope so.
Big job.
It is a big job. Since the Gold Coast Titans came back in, I think I asked their CEO the other night, Des Hasler's lost his job this week, which is always disappointing when a coach loses his job. And I asked him the question, you've had John Cartwright, and you've had Neil Henry, and you've had Garth Brennan, and you've had Justin Holbrook, and now you've had Des Hasler. They're all great football men. They all had success elsewhere. None of them had a winning record at the Gold Coast Titans. And I asked the questions, you're starting to work out it's not really the coach that's the major problem, but the coach is the easy one to sack every time you want to, or feel as though you need change. And to his credit, he admitted, yes, he said, we haven't got it right. We haven't got the support system behind the coach right. So I think the priority for the Gold Coast Titans is to put a support system behind Josh Hannay, but they also need to persevere. They also need to have stability. It was one of the first things that I said to the board when I came to the Bulldogs. This club needs stability. We need the next 20-year head coach and stability at board level and stability with management, which is what you need for successful clubs. And the successful clubs, you generally have that. You can't keep changing your coach every time the season doesn't go as well as you like, because it's not necessarily the head coach that's a major cause of all that issue. So I hope the Gold Coast Titans have heeded, the warning signs. And I think they have now. They've got some really good people in charge. I think the fact that a fellow like Des Hasler has gone there and hasn't succeeded should open their eyes that there's a lot more work that needs to be done. And if they do get it right, I mean, on paper, their team is a very, very competitive side. Got some of the best players in the game, playing those Tino and Mo Fatawaker and those sort of players, and some brilliant young outside backs.
But they've always had good players.
Yeah, but there's a culture and a standard within a professional football organisation that has a big bearing on the consistency and the intensity of the football and the results that you get. And we play all over the country. We play from Townsville to Melbourne. We play from Auckland to Perth, and we play on Thursday nights, Friday nights, Saturday afternoons, Saturday nights, Sunday afternoons. We play in hot weather, cold weather, rain and hail. We play in 30, 40 degree heat. We play on 6-day turnarounds, 5-day turnarounds. I mean, the season is extremely demanding, and there has to be a lot of things in place to run a successful and professional football team. And you need really good people with great expertise, and everyone pulling in the same direction, and you can't cut corners on any of that. And to build the quality of your club and to build the culture within your club, it's best if you can build within, that you can also keep developing young fellas coming in that are Titans and are proud to be Titans and want to be Titans forever. And they have got some good kids coming through. So let's hope the Gold Coast Titans get it right. It's one of Australia's largest cities now, and it's only getting bigger. You go up there to the Gold Coast, and that highway that runs from Gold Coast to Brisbane, or virtually from Ballina now to Brisbane, is like 3 and 4 lanes either way, and it is packed every day of the week. 3 or 4 lanes either way, and it is chock-a-block. The growth in the population up there and business is extraordinary. Gold Coast needs a successful franchise. We need Gold Coast to be competitive. And at the moment, they're underperforming, given the talent levels that they've had, so there has to be other reasons for it. And I don't necessarily put it down to the head coach.
Very good, Gus. Great sound effects, punters. Thanks very much for that. We've got some Ask Gus questions coming up soon, so we'll get you involved there as well. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Bulldog champion Mark O'Mealy. Great to see you, mate.
How are you, Matty?
Thanks for coming. Now, can I start by going back to when you were playing, and I said this to Gus on the podcast last week. Is it fair to say when you ran out on the field, you just loved belting blokes?
Yeah, I heard actually Gus talking about it the other night. Take away the kickoff, that was the only reason I played. Like that, you'd fight for who took the kickoff. So yeah, you ran out there. I weren't a great defender. I tried hard, but I could hurt people when I ran, so I tried to utilise that.
I don't think you'd survive anymore. Do you reckon you could play the modern game?
No, like in that era, like there'd be that collision a couple of times a game. Now that's every run. So yeah, it's a completely different ball game.
Just going through your career here, mate, 201 NRL games. You played with Bulldogs?
Yep.
Roosters?
Yep.
Northern Eagles?
Yep.
Someone else? Bears, North Sydney Bears.
Did you play for the Roosters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
90 Super League games. Who'd you play for in England?
Hull FC.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, awesome. Miss it. I watch them all the time. They're going well at the moment. John Cartwright's doing a good job.
Who was coaching it when you were over there?
The great Richard Ager. So he's actually over at...
He's at the Warriors.
Warriors, yeah. Outstanding coach.
And you enjoyed the footy over there?
Loved it. The game was getting faster over the 2 refs. And I was getting called off or, couldn't keep up the speed. And the Super League, I think, really suited my style at that time in my career.
Mm-hmm. And he played 10 Origins for New South Wales?
Yep, lucky enough. Very, very grateful, yeah.
Different level, isn't it?
Yeah, a whole different beast, as you know. As you know, you coached me in them games. Different beast. It's just a whole new level. A lot more things, like, little nitpicking. The refs let it go. You get to float through the game, build pressure. And in that era, when I played, I was lucky to have Freddie and yelling at you the whole game, talking to you to keep going and push you through them sort of games. So it was good.
15 games for Australia?
Yep.
Proud of that?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it took me a long time to make the Australian jump. I was playing Origin for 5 years before I got that jumper. I had to win a comp here to get that jumper. Very proud. Lucky first game played out in England in the DW Stadium. Jagged a try and had a scuffle, so it was a good test match.
Do you win the blue?
Like a good afternoon's work.
Yeah.
Got a try at a scuffle.
You did play in an era where the strength in the front row was almost unparalleled, though.
Yeah, you're right. And the form teams had the best forwards, as you're aware. A very dominant sort of era with the packs back then, and you had to try and find something different about yourself. And you had to also, in certain areas of your game, as you got older or the game was changed, you had to reinvent yourself. I had that conversation with Gus in 2006 about reinventing myself, and I thought I'd become a better player that year.
So the two I'm thinking of is Webke and Siva, of course. Were they the two that really got your blood boiling before you went up against them?
Yeah, look, I respected them guys as they'd done it all, and they were consistent each year. Petro was obviously, well, for me, was probably the hardest opponent that I played against regularly. Webke was sort of in the middle of his career, but I got to room on 3 tours with Petro, and such a great person. But
Chalk and cheese, eh?
Yeah,
Off the field,
a little,
nicest bloke in the world, but he'd whack you on it.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when he was at Penrith one game, tore me hip pointer off, and I thought I'd got him. Seen his eyes roll back a little bit. I thought, I've won here. Stood up, hip pointer's torn, and he played on. I went off. He was always hard to try and get over the top of Petro.
You won premiership, had one premiership success, one grand final success. The Bulldogs, 2004 that would have been, wouldn't it?
Yep.
And within the Bulldogs' history, and you notice it here now, that's a very select group, isn't it? I mean, you blokes have been, it's really bonded you together for life, hasn't it?
Yeah, and especially what Ciro's done at the club, watching the connection. I probably took it for granted. I got brought in, I was one of the last pieces of the puzzle, and the boys were such a good group. Everyone was, it was a family club. I had my first son at 16, so I had a very young family. Come here, the club, how it embraces that culture, and then they had such a connected group that I'd played against a few of them guys. I got to filter into that. If we went for a meal, just on a day off, the whole squad was there. If we're going to play golf, the whole squad would play golf. Even Matt Utah, who can't play golf, would drive the golf cart. We were really connected. Some would go for a surf. Next to it, there'd be 20 of us there. We'd go for a fish out off South Cronulla. Everyone's got their boats out. We were just that tight. And to me, that was the strength we had in that era.
But most of you still keep in contact today, don't you?
Yeah, we've still got our WhatsApp pages and still have our banter and catch up. I think Rennie and Brayford are trying to organise a meal next week. So, yeah, we're very tight. And I could not talk to, say, Mace for 8 weeks, and so I spoke to him an hour ago.
Yeah.
Hey, Gus, Mark just mentioned there, the connectivity. I know it's a bit of a buzzword in the modern game. You talked about how you do everything as a squad. Do you have to be like that to be successful, to contend to win a comp?
Absolutely.
I think you need to know if we're here and I'm going hard, I'm going to have trust that Gus has got me back, vice versa. And that was the trust we had. Like I said, I think I was 19 when I come here, 20. To me, it was, they'd already, the culture from Bullfrog and Folksy, they'd already established that. I was one of the pieces of that puzzle for that 04 comp. And I just embraced it. I just took it with 2 hands and ran with it. I loved it.
Since retirement, you've worked in a number of roles with New South Wales Rugby League and a couple of clubs in virtually pathways in junior development. How important is that for the game, and how is it important for ex-players to come back and put some time back into that level of development?
Yeah, you got to have your why, your purpose. For me, I probably realised after I started doing it that the connection as well, the kids, they're helping someone else. We'll have different stories, white collar, blue collar, family. There's always some sort of motivation. And all players had that in my era. So if you can try and help a kid nurture through, teach him some good habits, teach him right from wrong, try and put their best foot forward, compete like a bulldog, then you'll have success. And you sort of, at first when I'd done it, I sort of took it, didn't really want to coach, but I took it for granted, thought I'll be an assistant coach here, I'll help here, help there. And I really, really enjoyed it. But to me, I feel lost if there's no games on the week and I'm not involved with. So just to be around the boys and to see how they're progressing. The other thing is, when I was at the Dogs, we were always successful coming through them juniors. Like we had Thurston, Sonny Bill, Roy Satassi, and just keep going with names coming through, like playing SG ball and Harold Matts, and we'd go and watch them play at Shark Bark or at Belmore. Them guys come through, had that connection. We had that pathway system that just kept feeding that top end.
So one of my philosophies in building a club, and I always say I try to build a club first, and the NRL team will develop from there. You know, the NRL team is the pinnacle, and that's where we all get judged. But in building a club, I've always been of the belief that I like footballers being coached by footballers, ex-footballers, and having experienced what these kids are going through at all levels as they go on their journey. Just explain your job with the Bulldogs now. So you've been here for a couple of years in Pathways. Just explain exactly what your role here is.
Yeah, so when I first come in, I spent a lot of time with NRL learning Cameron's systems and to implement them through Pathways. And then I've been through Pathways where it's helping SG Ball, Matt's flag. And then we also have our country regions. Get out there, try and get out there at least once a week or once a fortnight between them regions. This year was a little bit different. You let me coach for once, so I got to coach the Harold Matthews team, so that was really good. And then since that's finished, we've been running our elite programs of our kids coming through. We've had we're in our third block of our third week, taking them through for our pre-season. So I think we're getting ahead. Each year we're slowly getting ahead of the game.
Yeah, so in our coaching staff here, we've got people like Mick Potter, we've got Josh Jackson, we've got Steve Turner, we've got yourself. Around the club, we have people like James Graham and Josh Reynolds and those fellas that were ex-players as well. The sort of feeling within the group about producing the next Bulldogs of the future, there is a genuine bond between you blokes too, I feel, in the club. Like the club feels good because you people are a part of it at the moment. Yeah,
maybe I take that for granted. I think we're just excited to see this group keep learning and keep, like tonight, high pressure game. It's all on us. What learnings are they going to get from that? That's what like when we got beat by Penrith last game, all of us guys, all of our opinions are, like, we're genuine contenders now. We took, Penrith to the sword. That sort of thing, the boys around, like, we're buying into the program as well. We're not just there for our own sake, if that makes sense. We're not just there to hang around. We're there because we enjoy, we love, we like seeing what the club involvement, what progression they're making.
We had a 4-hour Pathways meeting this week where we all sat around and we spoke about every kid we've got on contract, virtually from 15 years of age right through to 21, 22 years of age. What I was really impressed with was, the knowledge that everyone has of these kids, the relationship they got with them, but can you just sort of indicate how many of these you see as potentially being NRL players of the future?
Yeah, each age group's different. As you're aware from the younger ones, you're probably top 5, as the history tells you. Probably when they get to the flag, it's probably the middle 5. So I believe you're looking at probably 65% of them that are, we're above the bar of what's going to go through. The hard decision will be you guys on the track, who you keep, who you let go. But recruitment's done a tremendous job. I've only got to coach them. I don't go and recruit them. So for me, it's easy. And the talent we've got coming through is tremendous at the moment.
Well, before we let you go, Canterbury side, who's impressed you the most in the comp this year? Who's going to be the hardest to beat, do you think?
Probably the team they're playing tonight.
Penrith?
Yeah, they look very strong.
Even though they don't finish in the 4? You think they can still do it?
Look, as a player, we come through that system. We fell short once. You don't look at them. You play your football. I think he's smart what he's done, rolling through the finals. Probably them. Broncos, if they can get it together.
I think Adam Reynolds has done his hamstring again today.
Yeah, well, that'll probably slow them down a bit. And then you've got Melbourne, who's obviously sitting at the top. Roosters, I thought a week ago, probably going to make that run. Maybe that little hiccup, that kick up the backside might spur them again.
Any dirt on Gus before you let us go? Or we'll let you go, either way.
Any
dirt? Any dirt on Gus?
Not really. I'm a bit like him. Don't have an office, so don't have to be stuck anywhere.
He's not going to sack you. You can dish the dirt. Good to see you, mate.
Thank you.
And
Pleasure.
great work of what you're doing with the club.
Ta.
And all the best. Mark O'Mealy, ladies and gentlemen. What a champion. Oh, here's another champ. Joshy Reynolds. Good to see you, mate. Josh is our MC, thanks to Tab. So take it away, mate.
Thanks, everyone. Mate, what's your name? And we all know who you support. Surprised you're allowed in Belmore, actually. But
Roosters jumper. They're banned in these parts.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your question for Gus, mate?
So, Gus, if you had to pick 5 players from the 90s to drop into today's game, no training or prep, who'd still dominate, who would they be?
5 players from the 90s to drop into the game today and they'd be able to compete at the current levels. Well, the game has changed a lot since the 90s, hasn't it? And the athlete has changed, and the fitness and the training and the strength work. If I had to pick 5 players I'd love to see in the game today, I'm looking at the star players back then, probably an Alan Langer. I'd love to see him play in the modern game. A Laurie Daly, I'd love to see him play in the modern game. I'd love to see how a Glenn Lazarus and a Bradley Clyde, they were probably the star players in the early 90s playing with the Canberra Raiders. I coached a couple of great players at the Roosters and Panthers in those days. Luke Ricketson was always one of my favourite players that I think would survive in the modern game and be quite an asset as a player that could play 80 minutes every week. Brad Fittler, of course, was always a favourite of mine and a player that I think would have transcended any era. But it's those ilk of players, the fellas that played Origin football and won premierships and were probably before their time fitness-wise. I mean, there was a different game back then. Most of the players played 80 minutes. There wasn't interchange football in the late 80s and early 90s. That didn't start until the back end of the 90s. And, you didn't have many replacements. And, your squad in your club, everyone had to play every week to keep yourself competitive. But I think those fellas were the ones I'd be most interested in. Alan Langer, a Laurie Daly, a Brad Fittler, a Glenn Lazarus, a Bradley Clyde.
Why Glenn Lazarus?
Glenn Lazarus in the day was recognised as the best front rower in the game. He was renowned as the best front rower of the game. And I only got to coach him at Origin level, but I coached against him a lot when he was at Canberra Raiders. And back in the early 90s, Canberra and the Panthers, who I was coaching, had a great rivalry. We went to a couple of grand finals together, and they were a super side, the Canberra Raiders. And Bradley Clyde and Glenn Lazarus in particular were 2 Canberra forwards that I coached at Origin level, and they were kind of like a good luck charm. I can't remember losing a game when those 2 played. Glenn Lazarus, and I think most players who played around that era was probably the premier front rower in the game. I'd like to see how he'd go against the modern day front rowers. Bradley Clyde would play in any era at any time and be impressive. He was a tremendous athlete. Laurie Daly's super competitive. I'm not throwing too many Queenslanders in there, am I? No. Does that sort of answer your question?
Very good. You play with Sonny Bill, Josh?
No, I didn't play with him. I trained with him here at the Dogs.
Yeah, right.
That was when he...
How do you reckon he'd go in the modern game? Kill it?
Yeah, pretty good.
I think Sonny Bill would play in any era and be quite impressive.
I don't know about the shoulder charges, though.
That's true.
He'd be out every week.
He'd be suspended for the whole season.
Yeah.
Who's next?
So we got Tony. Tony, we know who you support. How you feeling this year about the Doggies? You must be proud. Semi-finals coming up. You're feeling confident?
Pretty good. My name's Robbie to start with.
Oh, you're great stuff. You fit in beautifully to this podcast, Josh.
Yep. Yeah, we are in Bill. I did go to school around here, so just go with it, mate. Come on.
Yeah, we'll go with it.
You honestly just could have went with it. Come on.
I could have. Thanks for having us. My question to do with the rebuild of the Dogs and our history, how we had coaches come and go and, boardroom turbulences and things. I want to know from Gus, what was the single toughest decision you've made, leadership decision, and what criteria you used to make sure it was the right one to get us back up and not sort of go back to old habits?
Good question.
The single biggest decision?
Nice,
I think, I guess the single biggest decision you do is to stay true to your beliefs and stay confident in what you see as the way forward for a club or how you build a club. And to do that, my job, I believe, at the very most important part of it, is to get the right people doing the right jobs, to get the right people in the right positions. Now, you might think that just means the head coach. It doesn't. It means everyone that's in our organisation. Just spoke with Mark O'Mealy here and said that I love footballers being coached by footballers. But most of our footballers actually were Bulldog legends anyway. And I like to have that little bit of DNA in the club as well. But behind them, they've got a whole team of talent scouts and academy people and development people and high performance people, sports science people, medical people, and other specialist people that they have these days. They've got so many consultants and so many people that come in and give their expertise to the players to help them stay, fit and healthy and stronger and faster and more knowledgeable about their game. Our IT people, our people that prepare all the notes and all the previews and all the analysis that we have for our teams each and every week. But at the forefront of that, your biggest decision is your head coach. And I was always confident that if we could secure Cameron Ciraldo, we had the next 20-year coach in the NRL. I always believed he'd be a career coach, always believed he'd be a very good one. He's still very much in the early stages of being a head coach, although he's had a great development and a great apprenticeship. But in a short space of time, he's been here, this is his third season. You've seen the improvement in our team. Not only the improvement in our team, but the perception of our team and the perception of our club, the type of players we were able to attract, the type of players that have been developed through our system, that have come into our system. And I think we're slowly but surely returning to a DNA that you can be proud of. One of the things I always say to our staff, whether it's administrative staff or when they look at that bulldog on your chest, when they look at that logo, we want them to feel something, we want them to believe something, we want them to expect something. And 3 or 4 years ago when I first come to the club and they looked at that emblem, what would they have said? And now when you look at that bulldog today, I think people can be proud of what our bloke fellas do, proud about the way they go about their business. We don't win every game, we don't always get it right, but we try every hard to be the best that we can be, and that comes from your head coach. That comes the way that he treats his staff and the way they treat the players, and that the players that we keep, the players that we develop, the players that we retain, and the players that we recruit. And that philosophy's gone into the people that we've brought into this club. So there's no one big single decision that I'd see as the most important, but I think the philosophy of building a club, I've stayed true to that part of it. I've been through this a few times, and extremely proud of the work we've done over the last 3 years. But we got a long way to go. Got a long way to go, and it looks like it's going to be a fun trip. So we're all looking forward to it, and we've got some early results over the last couple of years that gives everyone a bit of encouragement. It gives the fans something to cheer for. The Bulldogs are playing in big games that mean something every week. We've actually sold out crowds at away games several times this year, and we did in Melbourne last week against the team that are favourites to win the premiership. So the fact that we're doing that and we're being respected by opposition fans and our own fans is all you can ask for at the end of the day. When we represent the people and represent our fan base, and like I said, we want them to feel something, we want them to believe something, we want them to expect something, and we'll keep trying to give them a good result each week we play and every year. So
very good.
We never stop working.
Incidentally, if Canterbury win tonight, it's the club's first top 4 finish since 2012. So there you go.
Yep.
Next.
All right, I'm going to try a different angle. You tell us your name and who you support.
Thanks, Josh. My name's Lewis. I'm a Docs fan, obviously being out here. Question for Gus. With AI being used to analyse player performance data, injury patterns, and even predict game outcomes, do you think there's a risk that rugby league could become too analytical and lose some of its magic, even with AI being used in the bunker potentially, Gus?
Oh, AI in the bunker.
Wow.
AI in the bunker.
Oh.
I've just had a shudder.
Only if it's Claude Trump.
I think if I asked Claude would say get rid of the bunker.
Yes.
That's what he'd say. Yeah, look, really good question. And it is very, very true that, everyone's looking for an edge. Everyone wants the same thing. Everyone wants success. Everyone trains themselves up and educates themselves in high performance and in medical and training, and we're all after the best athlete, and we're all after developing the best athlete and the best strategies and the best tactics. And in my time in rugby league, I've seen the advancement in the ability to analyse opposition teams, the way that computers are used now, and the way that we can log data into computers, and the way that computers can extract data from game vids. There's perfect information. There's perfect knowledge if you want to know something about an opposition player or an opposition team or their trends and all that, and then compare them to the strengths and weaknesses of your team, it's all there on computer. You can find it. There is so much data. Everyone's got GPS packs on. There is so much information that you can go and get. Way too much sometimes. But at the core of it all, success in this game comes down to a lot more than just strategy and tactics, and it comes down to a lot more than just, how can I say, how fit and strong you are, and talent will always play a part in our game. Talent will always be that extra little bit that you need. There are some things that we can't coach. We can give them the opportunity to express it, or we can give them the confidence to believe in themselves to do it. I think the greatest gift you can give a player that you coach is self-belief, the belief in himself and a confidence, and also the ability to think the right thing at the right time. And if we do that, and all coaches, doesn't matter who they are, and I think that the greatest coaches of all time, I mean, your Craig Bellamy's and your Wayne Bennett's will tell you that there is nothing better as a coach to sit there in the coach's box and watch someone do something that you can't possibly coach, that it was just them that did it and their talent level. And that's sometimes the difference between, victory and defeat. There is 90% of it is your commitment to the team and your commitment to your role and knowing your role and how your role affects everyone else and how their role affects you and how you blend into the psychology of the team and the culture of the team and the connectivity is a big word these days, but nothing, not even AI, will ever produce God-given talent that these fellas see. And you see it each and every week in individual players in our game. And the more that we can give them the opportunity to do that, the more that the rules don't get in the way, the more that the referees keep out of the way, we'll see more and more of it. We can't over officiate this game to the point where we take a lot of that out of it, because if the game becomes too stop-start, then all that analysis takes over and the game bogs down. We've got to keep the game flowing so that the athletes and the talent can take over, and that's what people scream for. That's what gets people out of their seats. They don't go there to watch coaches coach. They don't go there to watch referees referee. They go there to watch players play.
I don't think AI could have come up with a finish in Mudgee on the weekend.
No, exactly. Absolutely, exactly.
That was breathtaking.
Yeah. AI is, I could talk for hours about AI, and I'm not even an expert at all by any stretch of the imagination, but it was explained to me by someone who's very much into that sort of thing that no one will lose their job to AI, but you might lose your job to someone who uses AI better to help them, help them do what they do. And there is so much in AI that's going to change this planet. I mean, you've got no idea what's coming. It's frightening. But
well, lucky we've got Claude on side here. Josh Reynolds, ladies and gentlemen. How are you, mate? Good to see you. Now, don't be despondent about getting that gentleman's name wrong, because if you remember back to last year, Fatty did an interview with Wayne Bennett and said, how are you going to plan against Nathan Cleary? And Wayne said, well, he's not playing. So you've learnt from the very best. I want to cut straight to the chase with you. You've retired for a couple of years now. But in 2014, you were part of the New South Wales team that ended Queensland's 8-year run in State of Origin football. Do you ever take time to think about that?
I do a little bit now. I obviously get asked about it a little bit more now, but when you actually sit down, and I have actually spoken about it with one of my best mates at a pub, because he sort of pulled me up and he said, your life's so fast, and have you sort of sat down and actually had a look at what's going on or what you've done? And I said, no, probably not, because, I'm in and around the club and I'm supporting the boys now, and I don't really ever think about myself much. And we looked at the team lists of the two sides, and it's fair to say Queensland had a pretty good side. Slater, Cronk, Inglis, Smith, just to say, name a few. And I just remember going into camp with the likes of Greg Bird, Robbie Farah, guys that have been through this 8-year drought for a long time. And the main thing for me was to want to repay those guys, because I remember watching them on TV go through it constantly, and those smug Queenslanders every year just, they had that look in their face, and they deserved to. And when if you actually have a look at it, I remember Loz just saying, boys, and we say it all the time, but we actually just competed harder than them in the little areas, and they didn't like it when we give it to them a little bit. And in the end, it just come down to a couple of big plays by a pretty special player in Jared Hayne, and a nice little show and go from my little mate Trent Hodkinson to seal the series. But mate, amazing moment, a great week after, and that's the thing. It's not just yourself. It's probably hopefully everyone in this room. That we done it for, and it was a very special moment and one that I'll cherish forever.
Yeah, and just last one from me on this, but I think back to that series, and Paul Gow, I mean, he's obviously a colleague of ours now, but he had his ass kicked by Queensland so many times. But to lead that team to victory that night, I can't imagine how he felt and how you, as his team, would have felt giving him that moment.
And that's what it was, right? It's not about yourself when you put that jersey on. It's actually not. It's about the people that have done it before you, making them proud, making sure guys like Gow that have been through so much, heartache, come close so many times, and to be able to do that Gus spoke, but the connection that we've got now, whenever we see each other, it's special. It really is, and it was a game. That series was the game one up in Suncorp was the toughest game I've ever played in. Easily, just fast. I questioned myself so many times. The little bloke on your shoulder constantly saying like, "You're at your peak here," and but then after that, you can go to another level. So yeah, amazing to even represent my state, and a very special moment.
It was a special night. Remember the sea of blue?
Absolutely.
Never forget that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jared Haynes' words, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
But one of the things you spoke about there is today you'll see each other and you've got that connection. The important part is to have that connection at the time, because you're not going to beat Queensland without it. Just explain the process of going into camp with 16 other blokes, 17 blokes that regularly compete with each other on a weekly basis. They all come from other clubs, they all come from different backgrounds and all that sort of thing. And you bring them together and you've got 10 days to form a bond that won't break under the pressure of Origin against a team like Queensland with the spirit that they've got. So what's the process of going through joining together to feel the mateship and the love that you've got to have with a group that you compete against each other normally and maybe even hate each other on a weekly basis?
Well, you got to get through the first drinking initiation session. That's tougher than the game. Going toe-to-toe with Gow in a schooner competition. But no, it's actually funny you say that, Gus, because there seems to be a lot of Bulldog supporters in here, and I'm sure everyone remembers there was a game at Brookvale where there was an extra time, and I might have done a little bunny hop and a little front flip to get a penalty, and Hocko kicked the goal, and we won it. Wasn't my proudest moment, but we won the game, and obviously in that Manly side was Watmow. So, for me, whatever happens on the field stays on the field. As soon as we walk off, I shake everyone's hand. I'll have a beer with them and whatever. But so we get into camp. Watmow's sort of there, and I go to shake his hand, and he literally says to me, "Not yet."
But you have that effect on people, don't you?
Yeah. So I spent the whole first 3 days trying to just become friends. But then you sort of, we were down in Coffs Harbour a lot of the time, and it was a big part of it because you're right, Gus. I found it heaps really hard because, like you said, people used to hate me on the field. I would have hated me. I watch myself back now. I'm like, man, what are you doing? So I actually used to try really, really hard to be the connector in every team I was in. I tried to get to know people. I tried to get to know their families, their backgrounds, and just make sure that they knew that I was actually an all right guy off the field. So you go through those processes. Usually, you'll get up in front of everyone. Bit of vulnerability in a session and speak about, I've done a few where it's about your hero, your hardship, and your highlight of your career. And honestly, the sessions, those types of sessions, I've never seen, grown man tear up so much because, it's, you don't really realise how much hardship someone's going through until they actually tell you. And then you've actually got so much more respect for them, how they turn up week in, week out. You hear about people's backgrounds, how they grew up. Some guys, what they tell you, like, mate, how are you here? So for me, that was probably the biggest part, Gus, talking about those things, getting to know people and breaking it all down. And then I just remember the biggest thing for myself and Trent when we got picked, because, everyone was questioning us, and so they should have. We're not sure if we were probably ready at that level, but I just remember Loz saying to us, look, boys, yous are going to control the sessions. And we're not used to that because we had a control freak in Des at the Bulldogs. We didn't have to do anything. He done all the video. He done everything. And so we sort of just had to listen and whatnot. But, when we were in front of all the boys, telling them the game plan, it was so nerve-wracking. But at the same time, I feel you earn their respect because you've got to get them around the park. So there's lots of little things that go into it. But, it's like Cam does down here. We all hang out. We don't leave. We play golf together. We do all those other things, and I suppose just get to know each other.
Who was your favourite player as a kid?
Freddie. Yeah, I just used to love him. Love his left foot step, and I wasn't even it's not a proud moment of mine, but I actually supported the Roosters for a couple of years.
Oh, look out!
And, but then as soon as I made my first Doggies jersey, I think when I was maybe 13, I changed back. So I was there, and then I loved Freddie. But then once he won the comp, I come back. But and it was really nice because obviously I was coached by Freddie in the city sides. Mm-hmm. Got to know him really well. We got on really well, and when I lived in Coogee, I used to see him all the time, just doing random stuff as Freddie does. But he's one of the great guys of the NRL.
Good role model to learn from.
And what's your job here at the Bulldogs now, mate? You're still working with the Bulldogs?
Yeah, well, you should know.
You're his boss. What are you talking about?
Eh?
You're his boss. What do you mean, what's his job?
I give them a job. They tell me what they do.
Yeah, it was like, I love it. Gus tells the story of when I come back from England, and I definitely did call him once or twice, but you remember when you set up on stage, he called me 20, 30 times. I was like, no, I didn't. I was keen, but so I'm in the sponsorship department, help out with all the upstairs stuff. But I also, whenever the likes of Jacko or Stevie Turner or anyone needs me, more to, I suppose, speak to a couple of the young halves, I'm always there to lend a hand. I'm pretty tight with the likes of Woodsy and Joey O'Neill, a few of those young halves. And look, I'm not going to tell them how to play, but if they need anything, I'm always there. So
big raps on them, those two.
Oh wow! When you see, I've done a little bit with Mitch of breaking a game down after he's played a game, and it's a bit awkward when he's saying stuff before I'm saying it, and he's like, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, definitely seen it." But I definitely didn't. But mate, as everyone knows, it's a long career. Cam and Gus and everyone at the club will make sure they're ready, because there's a couple of very special young players there, and they are Bulldogs. That's the thing, you hear about what is a Bulldog, and all the Bulldog is putting the club first. Like in my books, you put the club first, you'll go very well at this place.
And as I asked Mark, just before we let you go, who's the hardest team to beat this year?
I would have to say Melbourne. Jerome Hughes' shoulder, though, is worrying, because
he was talking about maybe playing next week.
I've done it before, in a sense of rehabbed it, didn't get the surgery and come back. And let's just say I wouldn't want Viliami Kikau running at my inside shoulder because you don't feel really confident. You're a little bit ginger. You second guess yourself because you're just like, is this going to pop out? You save yourself a bit for attack, but in a semi-final, we seen last Friday night's game. I know we didn't win, but it was a semi-final like game, and it's all about defence. The best defensive side will win. So they'll be tough to beat. Plenty of big name players and they played in plenty of big games. But I think I'm confident if we go to Melbourne in our first semi. I really would be. So it'd be good to see.
Great to see you, mate. Thanks for coming along,
boys.
Joshy Reynolds. We'll have some more questions coming up, and Gus is going to have a look back at, good to see you, mate, round 26 of the competition. So we'll have a little break for a minute, and then we'll come back with more.
Fans always ask, Lozza, what was the best era of league? And I tell them, nothing beats the line-breaking, flick-passing, goose-stepping, Vegas-flying, turbo-try-scoring, origin drought-breaking, simply the best era of footy we're in right now. And with more market stats and insights, it's easy to enjoy the best era in footy with the best app in footy.
Tab. We're on.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
We're here at Canterbury Leagues for our live episode of Six Tackles with Gus. Thanks for coming, everyone. It's great to see you all. This is a lovely little room here. We've got about 10,000 fans who are locked out.
Yeah.
And lined up down the street.
Beautiful Leagues Club, the Canterbury Leagues Club. Got conference areas, we've got auditoriums and entertainment areas. We've obviously got gaming areas. We've got a beautiful cafe down there, lovely Chinese restaurant, best Chinese restaurant in the world.
Yeah.
And big bistro. And they've also got those games, where you can go play baseball and golf and 10-pin bowling, virtual games up here in the, the games area up, all that sort of thing. Yeah, they've got a sports lounge downstairs. They've got memorabilia areas around there where you can see the greats of the Canterbury history.
You were supposed to organise some.
It's always been It's always been, even when I came here it's a rugby league club. It's here for rugby league, that's what it's here for, and its fans. And even coming back now in this era, like there are still people come into this club every day that were around here in the 70s and 80s when I was coming to this club many, many years ago. Used to be much smaller than this. This was all car park here where we are, and the entrance was pretty much the same, but where the gym is there, they've got a giant 24-hour gym in there. That's where the club was, just in that area there. And we've built giant car parks around it and car parks out the front and the fountain out the front with the volcano and...
The volcano?
All those sort of ideas.
There's a volcano here?
Yeah.
The Belmore volcano.
Yeah.
Very well famous. Some more questions for us, Gus. Joshy.
I've actually got a question for you, Gus. Non-footy. Is this the famous place where you have the Chinese? And if so, what's your order?
Good, great question.
Yeah, I've got a few favourite Chinese places, but this is my favourite Chinese restaurant, yeah. And my favourite Chinese meal is, if I eat in, Peking duck. I love Peking duck. But it's brilliant here. Come to Canterbury Leagues and go to the Chinese restaurant. What's it called? Dynasty. Come to the Chinese restaurant. It's absolutely superb.
But no, what would you order? Like, what do you start with? What's your whole order?
Peking duck.
Yeah, but do you start with entrees? Like, do you get some entrees?
Peking duck.
That's all you get?
Yeah. I'm not going to fill up with the other stuff. Peking duck's nice, and I'll have some sang choy bao, and then I'll have some salt and pepper king prawns.
I just asked him this.
And then I'll have some sizzling fillet steak, and then I like the nice pork chops in the salt and pepper sauce. And
right.
But the best thing here, and if you come here, do it. The mango pancakes.
Oh, how good are they?
The mango and cream pancakes. To be honest, that's why I have the Chinese meal, just for the dessert. It's outstanding.
Yes. There's nothing better than a mango pancake. Well, if you know what I mean. Take it away.
Sorry, yeah, you should have seen Sam Cassiano go through them. Sorry. Rob, next question, mate.
Yeah. Rob Curry here. Good call on the Chinese downstairs. So, Gus, you've also talked about how rule changes are reshaping the game. Which single recent change has had the biggest impact on NRL footy?
Oh, mate. Don't start me. I think the biggest effect on our game, the modern game at the moment, is obviously the concern around concussions and changes in tackle techniques and the scrutiny around high contact. That has such an effect and has had such an effect on tackle techniques and the way the game is defended and the way it's played. It's going to have more and more effect too, because they're not going to back off on all that stuff. That's probably been the biggest effects. There are other rule changes I don't like. I don't like 7 tackle sets from for 20-metre taps and all those sorts of things. And there are other rules of we could get into obstructions and stripping rules and play the ball rules and all those sorts of things. But the biggest single influence on our game at the moment, and everyone is still trying to come to terms with it, is the increased scrutiny on contact in the tackles, because that has a major effect on the tackle technique, the speed of the game, and other factors in it. So that's the single most thing. There are plenty of rules in the rule book. I was actually talking, we got Gavin Badger, who works for us, who used to be he was a 300 game referee, and he comes to do a little bit with our pathways and our girls' teams around rules. You know, we want the players to know the rules and abide by the rules. And he also comes to NRL sessions and referees our internal scrimmages and sessions and that sort of thing to make sure we're trying to be as much referee compliant or get a referee's point of view on how things will be interpreted, you know. But even he is saying the rule book has still got a lot of stuff in it that needs to be taken out. And he said, and there's a lot of rules still in the game that have been in it for a long time that no longer have relevance, but every now and then they rear their head as some sort of technicality, and that's what gets everyone confused. So I think it's high overdue, long overdue, that we have someone sit down and go through the rule book and remove a lot of the stuff that's not necessary, and and put stuff in that's going to help the actual players and help the coaches and with the game. We don't want to take away the character of our game and the personality of our game, nor the competitiveness of it, nor the physicality of it. The players didn't ask for them to be protected. That's not what it is. So it's and it's a hard game to play, and this is a competition. This is professional sport. This is a competition. It's up for parents and school teachers and junior league coaches to coach kids on the spirit of the game and what's right from wrong. But this is a competition at the highest level, and the stakes are high, and it's played by men that are professional athletes and train 7 days a week to prepare their minds and prepare their bodies for it. So, but I would say in recent times that's been the most significant aspect of our game that's changed a lot of dynamics within the game. Does that make sense?
Thank you for your question. We got another one, Josh?
Last one, we've got Celeste, Bulldog supporter. Before you ask us a question, who's your favourite ever Bulldog?
You.
Well done.
Nice
Honestly,
setup.
it wasn't even teed up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Gus, your favourite player of all time, any club, and why?
My favourite player of all time? There's a lot of them.
Daryl Broman?
Daryl Brown. Yeah, when I first started loving the game, my heroes were people like Johnny Raper and Graham Langlands and fellas that played with the Dragons. They were the most successful team of the day. And then as I came through the years, there were players that really impressed me, like Arthur Beetsons and those sorts of players. But my favourite ever player comes from a relationship with him, obviously, as a coach, and our relationship went beyond coach, was Brad Fittler. Brad Fittler was an extraordinary teenage talent who ended up in a long career of great success and achieved many things in the game, and he's still working in the game today, obviously with us at Channel 9, and has forged himself a great career. One of the things that never gets spoken much about Brad Fittler was his toughness and his durability and his reliability, his loyalty. At the end of his career, I had to speak at his testimonial. They ran a testimonial for him. And I gave out the stats that he'd had a 16-year career. He'd played 425 first-class games in 16 years, which equated to 26 first-class games every year for 16 years at the highest level. You don't do that. You can't do that if you're not playing with injury and training with injury. With Brad Fittler, I can never remember him not training a session, and I can't remember too many games that he ever missed, and played a lot under duress and under pressure and obviously under scrutiny, but under physical duress as well. And he was such a tough individual. I don't think I've ever heard Brad Fittler say a bad word about anyone. I don't think I've ever seen Brad Fittler. His friends today are still friends that he had at school. He's a very humble human being. He does a great job with us at Channel 9. He's an ornament to the game, but and he was an extreme talent, absolutely extreme talent. Over a long period of time. In our game, we were talking earlier about scrutiny and strategies and all the information you can get. Great players like that, they work them out what they can do. The trouble is stopping them from doing it. When they know exactly what foot you're going to step off on, when you're going to run and what tackle you're going to get the ball and how you kick and how you step and how you swerve and how you pass and what your favourite play is, they work that out pretty quickly. In the first 2 years of your career, they've worked that out. And usually that's enough to stop 75, 80% of them because they can't get past that where the opposition knows so much about them. It's the really elite ones that have the longevity in their career because despite that scrutiny and that pressure they get from the opposition, they still excel. And he was one of those ones that still excels. You get fellas that are playing 100 first-grade games, they're very, very special players, very special players. And it's only about 12% of those that ever played first grade football go on to play 100 first grade games. It's only like 2% that play 200 first grade games. So you're talking about someone who played 425 first class matches and was a key player in every one that he played. He was my favourite player.
Take your association with him out of it if you can. Should he be an immortal?
Oh, of course, yeah. Absolutely.
So he should be inducted as an immortal. He should be the next immortal?
Well, I'm not saying about the next one. They'll get through them all, and there are plenty that do. I think the immortal thing was something that was devised by a magazine many years ago.
But it's taken on special significance now.
Absolutely, it's taken on special significance, and we probably don't have enough of them at the moment. I think they need to start ramping up their, a Hall of Fame is one thing, and that's a great recognition as well, but I think the name Fittler goes down very heavily with the game and the history of the game extremely well. And I think the later they get it in life, the better. I don't think they should happen too much after they've sort of retired. Obviously, your Cameron Smiths and your Thurstons and these fellas will be immortals in time, but I think they'll appreciate it more if they get it down the track when they've got kids and grandkids. And
Ron Coote was an example of that last year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't think you need to rush into that, but I think. Brad's over 50 years of age now. I think if sometime in the next decade he was given that recognition, it would be A, very, very worthy, and B, I'm sure he'd appreciate it greatly.
Doesn't act like a man in his 50s, I can assure you of that. No. Let's have a look at the round coming up, shall we? Round 26. Yep. Are you going to do our betting odds, Joshy? Excellent. Come on up. So, the Bulldogs are $1.08 to beat the Panthers at $8. Well, that's your job, I know. But we're not going to talk about this because you know who Gus is tipping.
Yep.
But I'm fascinated to see how these young Penrith blokes are going to go on the big stage.
Well, they'll be good. I mean, Penrith prides itself on the academy system they've had out there and it was established many, many years ago. And it's produced so many great first-grade players for them. They're proud of it. They love to show it off. And there are moments like this every year where they display these kids in the top grade and they go extremely well. They didn't lose a game during the Origin period when they were called upon these kids to come up and play. I think there was a game over in Auckland this year where they played the Warriors, who might have been running second at the time in the competition, and they tailed them up over there, these young fellas. And they're good players, and most of these kids, if they're playing with any other club other than Panthers, would probably be playing NRL on a regular basis. So they'll certainly give a great account of themselves tonight and be very hard to beat, and they'll be fresh and ready to go. The Bulldogs NRL team's been through some tough matches recently, so they're going to have to aim up and get it right tonight.
All right, the Warriors host Parramatta in the early game tomorrow. That's in Auckland, of course, and Josh Addo-Carr's going to play his 200th NRL game. I reckon this is one of the games of the weekend.
Yeah, big game for the Fox, but the Warriors, they're $1.58 favourites and Para at $2.40. Outsiders. I don't mind Para.
Well, they're finishing the season like a freight train. They've got every chance of going over there and winning.
Parramatta? Yeah, of course they're a chance of winning. There'll have been great joy after their win against the Roosters. They have to go over to New Zealand. New Zealand have been in the top 4 all year and are still there at the moment and slowly starting to get a few players back. The likes of Chance Nickel-Locksager is now back to fullback. Rocco Berry's returned into the centres, which is good for them. Sanel Harris-Tavita's back in the 5'8". They've had some injury concerns and they've had a couple of wobbly weeks, but all of a sudden they're starting to look stronger. Their bench looks strong tonight. But this Parramatta side is on a real roll at the moment, and they're playing very, very confidently. If this young side can come down from the euphoria of winning last night the way they did last week against the Roosters and apply themselves again this week, they'll go very, very close to winning. Very close to winning. I just think at the end of the night, the 2 points has got to be far more important to the Warriors because they're running towards September. So I think the Warriors will get it right.
What do you reckon, Joshy?
I like Para. They're just impressive. That they play a different style of footy as well. They use their front rowers a lot of those little pop plays, and then Mitch swinging around short sides. Gus, do you think Para are sort of heading in a similar path to the Dogs a couple of years ago, getting rid of a couple of their sort of veterans, blooding all these new guys this year and just getting them ready for first grade?
Well, I think if you look at the top teams of the last sort of 8 or 10 years, which is obviously your Melbourne Storms and your Panthers, it's built very much around effort. Effort in all parts of the game, in all moments of the game, on every play of the game, their kick chase and their tackle and their support play and all the effort areas of the game. And the Melbourne Storm and the Panthers have been the 2 premier teams for the last several years. pride themselves on those aspects. You know, Bulldogs have tried to establish that in their game, and you can see that Jason Reynolds has taken that Melbourne philosophy to the Parramatta, and he's rewarding the same thing. He's rewarding fit, effort players who train every week and train hard, and then go out and can play and compete for the 80 minutes regardless of what's on the scoreboard. And earlier on, where the scoreboard wasn't going good for them, he kept persevering with the ones that kept competing for the full 80 minutes despite the scoreboard. And then he knew he had people that he could rely on and trust. And it dragged a few of the older blokes along with them too. If they wanted to stay in the team, they had to realise that every moment of every game was going to be important to them. So they can win. I've got no doubt they can win. I just think, you know, the Warriors are so close to September football, they can't afford to let this one slip at home. And there'll be a big crowd there, probably a sellout. And I'll just favour Warrior to sneak home.
All right, Friday night footy from Melbourne tomorrow. You can watch it on 9 from 7:30 live and free. The Storm hosting the Roosters. Now, Will Warbrick, we think, is going to play. He's been out since the very early weeks of the competition, but he returned in the Queensland Cup last week. We know Harry Grant is suspended, which is a big loss, and perhaps offsets the absence of Sam Walker for the Roosters to a degree. But, gee, that's a huge, huge out for the Roosters, as we saw last week when he went off in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, and it's a big game for Sandon Smith, who's going to, take that position. A couple of clubs circling after him, and it'll be interesting to see how he goes. But the Storm are $1.67 favourites. The Roosters $2.20 outsiders. What I found interesting, obviously it's a bit different. Ivan's rested 16 players, but the Melbourne have rested a few too. We haven't really heard about it, but tough to beat down at Amy Park.
Yeah, always tough to beat in Amy Park. I say you'll go broke if you tip against them when they play down there at home. But they have rested a couple of players, and they're bringing back some big names too. I see Nelson Asofa Solomona has been named in the 17, so I'll assume he'll play. And I'm sure that Will Warbrick will take his place on the wing as well. They'll be keen to get him back and get a couple of games before the finals. Melbourne, again, they're an effort team. They rely on effort. I think while ever Pappenhausen and Cameron Munster are there, they'll have the points in them to get victories. The Roosters, probably disappointed in their performance last week. They're beaten by a good side. Don't take anything away from Parramatta. They had a big win against the Bulldogs the week before and then just didn't back it up the following week. And that's the battle of NRL football. You're going to have good weeks, you're going to have bad weeks. It's to be able to come off both, treat them both the same and get on with the game the next week. And Roosters just didn't do it last week. They didn't quite hit the mark. They paid the penalty. But there's so much talent in this Roosters side that they could easily go to Melbourne and get it right. I think the last time they played each other was an extraordinary scoreline, wasn't it? 34-30 or something or other was a night.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Harry Grant got them home in the dying moments of the game. And they're always very, very close games between the Roosters and the Melbourne Storm.
That was the game Hughes did his shoulder, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
So I think, I think the market should be a little bit closer than this. Obviously, Storm's record at home influences and their win last week. And the fact we're Roosters, I'm ignoring Roosters losing to Parramatta. I think they've got a really good chance of winning. But I can't tip against Melbourne in Melbourne. So I'm going to go Storm narrowly.
Okay.
Might even be Golden Point this one.
Golden Point?
Yep.
What price is that, Josh? Do you have that on your sheet?
I just have to look at the algorithm.
We'll look at that later. 3 o'clock Saturday, the Raiders. The news today too, late this afternoon, that Josh Papali'i will play next year for the Raiders. So he's brushed England and he's sticking around in the NRL, and they host the West Tigers.
I'm glad he stayed.
Absolutely.
Been in some great form. Try-scoring machine. Raiders, sure price favourites, $1.22, and Tigers, $4.30 outsiders after they lose that game. How did they lose that game?
How did they lose that game?
After the flick and everything. So, it's a... I
12 in front, 16 in front at one stage.
Yeah.
They were running away from them. Raiders have been great all year. You've got to believe your eyes. And what the Raiders have done this year has been extraordinary. They can smell a minor premiership, which will be their first since, I think, the early 90s.
1990.
1990. They've forgotten how to lose. Showed that last week. They've forgotten. Against Penrith, I didn't ever feel like they were really in the game. Well, the game was always close, but Penrith always had control of them. I always felt like Penrith were going better and Canberra was struggling to post the points, but they found a way. Then they found a way to get level at full time, and then they dodged a bullet with the field goal, and all of a sudden they found a way to win.
That's your mates, the footy gods.
Well, you can forget how to lose and you can forget how to win. They've forgotten how to lose. They really have. And they're in winning vein. They can smell the minor premiership. and I don't think they'll let this one drop at home. Where do they play their last round of the competition? Will this be their last home game of the year?
Do they go to Townsville?
In the final round, the Raiders are playing away from home. So this is their last home game of the year before they come back for their home semi-final. So they'll want to end it on a good note. They'll be saying some goodbye to some players, I suppose. And Ricky's Raiders will get it right this weekend. They'll win again.
All right, 5:30 Saturday. The Dragons against Manly. And this game is at Jubilee. Jaden Stewart comes back. Jack DeBella and Hame Sele all back into this Dragons team. There's a suggestion that young Joey Walsh might get a run to make his NRL debut. He's in the extended squad for Manly, who somehow have got a chance to play in the finals. How did that all happen?
Yeah, it's quite unbelievable.
It really is.
Both these teams have roller coaster seasons. I expected a lot more from Manly. I really did.
For sure.
Obviously the turbo injuries throughout the year didn't help, but they've just been really good and then really, really bad. But they're both teams are $1.90 a piece in this one. Interesting game, but as you said, obviously Manly is still a slight chance. So
Incredible.
The stakes are high, but yeah, I actually think Manly. I think Manly will win after that nice win last week.
Well, they've certainly got more to play for. And not forgetting, the last time we saw the Dragons, they've had the week off. They got absolutely annihilated by Souths. Blown off. They're never in the game.
Yeah, it was a strange performance, wasn't it? Neither of these two teams will be playing finals football this year. What they're playing for in these last two rounds is a bit of pride. I expect that there has to be a bounce back from the Dragons, who were so disappointing last week. That, you don't want that as how you're going to finish the season. So they'll get better, but there are just potentially so many points in this Manly side. My only thing with Manly, they won 3 or 4 in a row there. Then they sort of got belted by the Bulldogs, and then they lost their next couple after that. They didn't recover. They bounced back last week at home, which they can do at Brookvale. We all know they're very, very hard to beat there, and they were terrific. Can they take that on the road and win this week? Remains to be seen. This game is played at Jubilee. The red V at Jubilee will do me. So I'm going to go Dragon to beat Sea Eagle.
Dragon to end Sea Eagle season. All right, 7:30 Saturday night up in Townsville. The Cowboys up against the Broncos. We told you Adam Reynolds has done his hammy again, so it looks like, well, he's certainly out of this week. We're not sure just how bad it is at the moment. I know the Cowboys have been out of the finals reckoning for a while, but gee, they'd love to beat the Broncos on the way to September, wouldn't they?
Yeah, it's obviously a big rivalry there, but once again, just the Cowboys I just feel this year they've just got no identity. Defensively, you watch them and their centres and wingers are doing different things, and yeah, you've got the spark of Drinkwater and Dearden, but they're just not backing it up. They're usually good at home. Haven't been great at home this year, and they come up against the Broncos side. Both the halves are out, but Billy Walters and Ben Hunt have done a pretty good job, and Reece Walsh, I don't know, he seems to step up a bit when Ezra Mam and Reynolds are out. So the Cowboys are outsiders, $2.60, and the Broncos are $1.50 favourites.
Yeah, it's probably the right market. The Broncos are so explosive and got so many points in them. A couple of weeks ago against the Dolphins, it was 12-all at half-time. Like 10 minutes after half-time, they're down 28-12 or something and going out backwards, and won the game running away very, very comfortably. Same thing happened at Newcastle last week. They had a big breeze behind them in the first half. They sort of ran to a lead. They allowed Newcastle to get back in it and score a couple of tries. And all of a sudden you thought, gee whiz, now they've got to run into the wind. Came out in the second half and just exploded away and won running away. So they've got that explosiveness in them. It's getting the 80-minute consistency over the course of the game. And if you're going to be off your game up there in Townsville, Scotty Drinkwater will pull your pants down and he'll produce points. The one thing the Cowboys can do is produce points. And we saw that last week when they looked down and out. Again, the 2 points is worth too much to the Broncos. I think they'll go there and get it done. The rivalry has always been great, but at the end of the day, the 2 points is more important to the Broncos than it is to the Cowboys, and I'd expect that to be the difference in the game.
I know they've had a bad season, but could you imagine how much further down the ladder North Queensland would be without Tom Dearden? They'd be close to the spoon.
Phenomenal, yeah, phenomenal.
He's an unbelievable player.
Yeah.
Like, speaking about effort, that's all he does.
That's all he does.
He's everywhere.
Yeah. All right, 2 o'clock on Sunday, the Sharkies at home down in the Bermuda Triangle hosting Newcastle. Kale Iro is going to come back. He's been gone for 12 weeks. And, Who cares who Newcastle put on the park? They could bring back Andrew Johns and Matthew Gidley and Paul Harrigan and they still wouldn't win.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Probably not now as well, given the Chief can't even walk anymore. What's the market?
Yeah, Sharkies very short, $1.14, and Newcastle $5.80. But as you said, very, very tough place to win, and especially when the Sharkies are looking to find some form. I think the Sharkies have looked good since their focal point of attack's been Brayley. He's running, and it's sort of opened up Nico Hines a little bit to get that run first mentality. So they'll want a big win, heading into September, and I think they'll win comfortably.
He's captain too, Blake Brayley, with McInnes gone. Sharkies, Gus?
Again, it means too much to them. They need to win, and they're at home. They've been up and down all year, but they've had the bye now. When they're good, but they can put in a wobbly one, and that's not the time of year to be doing that. Newcastle Knights, looks like they've sacked their coach. And we often see a bit of a bounce back after that. The team will come out and perform, whether it's out of guilt or we don't know. But Newcastle are capable. They've got some really good players there. And, Sharks can put in a wobbly one every now and then, but I just think it's too close to September for them. People have sort of been criticising the way the Sharks are going, but all year they've been in and around the 8 and with no real risk of dropping out of it, and even still now a chance at the top 4. So they're a good side, and a lot of them have played together for a number of years. So the combination is there, which will stand up under pressure. I think the Sharks will win comfortably down there at the Bermuda Triangle.
All right, and our last game. Now, explain this to me. The Dolphins' last 3 games, they were beaten 64-12 by the Roosters. They were beaten 38-28 by Brisbane. They were beaten 58-30 by Manly last week. Yet if the Roosters lose and the Dolphins win, they're back in the top 8. They could be in the finals.
And they are $1.53 favourites. That's how bad the Titans are going, unfortunately.
Seriously, what's going on?
They're an interesting side, the Dolphins. Great attacking side, but I think losing a couple of their big leaders, mate, throughout the year, defensive with that defensive mindset, that probably lacks through the middle of the season. But yeah, the Titans $2.50 outsiders in that one, and unfortunately
they've sacked the coach too.
Yeah, do you think that's the end of Des, Gus?
In rugby league, no, he could bob up again. Funny game, rugby league. Nothing would surprise me.
Did you like the 88 points they scored at Brookvale last week?
Don't start.
It was like a game of touch.
Yeah. Look, again, you've got a sack coach, and it'll be interesting to see the response from the Gold Coast Titans players. It's a pretty strong-looking Gold Coast side, actually.
You've been saying that all year.
When you see it,
they've won the wooden spoon.
The Dolphins.
Give up on the Titans, Gus.
There was a stage during the year where I thought the Dolphins were a certainty to make the 8. They were rampaging. And during that period, it was their defence which is impressing me. They've always had the ability to score points, but it was their defence that was impressing me. Then of late, as you say, they've just conceded so many points in all those games. I'm not sure what's dropped off there. And we could easily have players there playing with injury that we don't know about at this time of year. That's not unusual. Both teams have got a lot of points in them. I shudder to think what the scoreboard might do in this one. Again, if they're going to have any chance of making the top 8, the Dolphin needs to win. They'll probably know their fate by Sunday afternoon when this game kicks off at 4 o'clock, just how they're placed. Every time I look at the Gold Coast side, I go, why? Why aren't you winning games? Why?
Is this because you holiday on the Gold Coast?
No, it's not.
You're looking for a free dinner up there or something?
Mo Fadawaka, Regan Campbell-Giller, Bo Fermor, Tino Fulasua Awi.
Josh, can you tell him to get over the Gold Coast, please?
I know I wouldn't, because I wouldn't mind going up with him.
AJ Brimson, why? Why doesn't this team win? I'm going to tip Titan to bounce back.
Wow.
Ooh, gee, that's provoked a response. Very good.
Titan to bounce back.
Can you run Canterbury and be the number 1 ticket holder for the Titans?
Does that mean Manly will be in the 8 possibly?
Oh, don't start. Very good. So who are you tipping?
So, I've got to go back to my draw now. So, all right, so we're going with Warrior to beat Eel, Storm to beat Rooster, but I'm not confident about either of those. Raider will beat Tiger. I think Dragon can beat Eel at home. I think Seagull. And Bronco will beat Cowboy. Shark will beat Knight. And Desi Hasler bounced back this week. Tight
He might get his job back. He might win the last two. They might reverse the decision.
How often do you see it happen?
Oh, we've made a mistake. Des, you got another 3 years.
How
well
often
done.
do we see it happen?
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
All right. Before we go, we've got the glittering prize to give away. Gus is the ugliest barrel girl in rugby league history. We've got a gold double pass to the NRL Grand Final, which no doubt will feature the Canterbury Bulldogs. Oh, you're going to spin it around.
Well, that's what a barrel
just for
girl
integrity's sake.
All right. How many am I taking out?
Just one.
Just one. I can't fit my hand.
Here we go. The double pass, the gold double pass, if you don't mind.
Has everyone got a ticket?
I hope so. I think it's just a name, isn't it?
Is it? Stephen Callis.
Stephen Callis.
Stephen Callis.
Hey, well done, mate. Well done, Steve.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Are you one of the Legion of Canterbury fans here today?
I am. Hopefully, the doggies make it back there.
Well, that would be
Good to
great.
see. Yeah. Thanks for
Well
the
done.
tickets. I don't know what to say. Over the moon.
It's like winning an Academy Award. Congratulations,
You've
mate.
done a
Well
better
done.
job than Josh Reynolds, mate.
Thanks for coming, Joshy. Great to see you,
Thanks
mate,
for
as
having me,
always.
boys. It's good.
And thank you to everyone who's taken the time out to come and see us here for our live show, the first of... Do you think we'll come back and do another live podcast, Gus? I feel
Yeah,
like Bruce
why not?
Springsteen up here on stage.
We should do one at every club. We'll go to everywhere.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd welcome you with open arms. Enjoy the weekend, and thanks very much again. That's 6 Tackles with Gus for another week, and we'll talk to you ahead of the finals.